today it's 8/24/24, which is Kobe Bryant Day. And obviously, this man left the world way too soon. And being from California, born and raised, I've got a bunch of friends who are and were Lakers fans. And I can't really say myself that I was a Lakers fan, but I definitely has always been a Kobe Bryant fan. And I just love watching Kobe play. When I did catch basketball. And so, myself, I selfishly wanted to see an old Kobe Bryant, right? Um, when you see the players, like the older players sitting courtside at the All-Star game and camera pans over to him, I wanted to see that salt and pepper Kobe, right? You see the gray beard. And unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to see that on a family level, right? Your heart just breaks for him leaving this world, him and his daughter Gianna. I can only imagine the pain his family experienced and continues to experience. And I can honestly say that Kobe was one of those. He might have been the first one that I saw making girl dad a thing, and that became a hashtag. um, and that's a really cool thing. But Kobe has always been someone that I've looked up to, and I still do. And I draw a lot of inspiration from greats, including Kobe. And ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted to be great. I didn't know what exactly that would be, but I just knew that I wanted to do special things, do amazing things. And so, in honor of Kobe Bryant's number 8, I wanted to share 8 things that I took away from the Black Mamba's career. And so, number 1, you got to put in a lot of work by yourself in order to prepare yourself for the big stage. So Kobe Bryant obviously was a perennial all-star, Olympic gold medalist, won 5 rings, and that did not come without a ton of hard work, right? And it's one of those things where everybody wants to shine. Everybody wants to be able to do the great things, whether it's in music or in art or in medicine, whatever the discipline is, right? When we look at somebody and see that they've achieved greatness or they've done a wonderful thing, you naturally say, man, that would be really cool to be able to do that. And everybody wants that, but not everybody wants to put in all of the work that prepares you to be able to do that. And Kobe was notorious for being the first one to show up to practice, being the last one to leave on his off time, shooting free throws, shooting his jump shots, practicing his moves. And it really took all that hard work to be able to create the product that we ultimately saw on the biggest stages. Number 2 is going to be discover your passion, because there's definitely joy in hard work when you're doing what you love. Time flies, right? When you're engaged in flow, when you're doing your thing, time flies. And I can say that from my own experience. Sometimes I'll go and I'll visit a client in jail, right? And we'll be 3 hours into a meeting, and I can't believe how quickly the time has flown by as we're going through our thing, because I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what I'm passionate about. And as we talked about in number 1, Kobe, on the last day of his career, right? If you saw his interview, he was talking about hard work and just talking about the joy of hard work. And he was just notorious for putting in more work than anybody around. And that is, what led to the success. Sure, there's natural talent. Sure, there's God-given abilities, but there's absolutely something to be said for putting in the work, in the dark, in the basement, when nobody else is around, to put you in a position to shine. But again, it is hard work, and there's a difference between work and play. But if you're in your passion, if you're doing what you love, then time flies and it doesn't actually feel like work. Number 3 is going to be study the greats. Study the greats. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, and you shouldn't, right? Most of the things that you want to do or would like to do have probably been done before, and you can study the greats in order to borrow from that. And so Kobe notoriously studied Michael Jordan. And if you've seen, there's a video out there where you can see where they line up side by side certain moves that Jordan did and then Kobe did, and it's almost a carbon copy of what Jordan was doing. And so obviously, Jordan being the GOAT, Jordan being the greatest of all time, he would have been a fantastic person to study. And they had similar, body types and other traits. But Jordan was somebody that he definitely modeled his career after, and that's a good thing, right? We all have our individual things that we bring to the table, but you can really draw inspiration. You can learn a lot from people who've come before you, and that's something that I've done. I've definitely modeled my own career after certain greats. I'm always reading books. I'm learning books. Reading books on business, reading books on sports, reading books on art, reading books in all these other disciplines where I'd never probably have an opportunity to interact with these people who have written these books. By consuming this information, it helps me, right? I can draw inspiration and make myself better. So um, definitely, moving away from trying to reinvent the wheel and studying the greats is it was monumental to Kobe's success, and it could be monumental for yours as well. Number 4 is team over me, right? You can go far alone, but in order to truly win, in order to win at a championship level in sports, in life, in business, in wherever, you have to have a team. And, being on the same page, it's vital to success. I mean, hero ball does not work, right? In sports, hero ball is not going to win you a championship, right? And it doesn't work in business. You need to have a team and have people that you can believe in and people that will believe in you, and you rely on each other, and that's how you ultimately win. I mean, just yesterday, me and a couple of my teammates, Kersey Law, we're a team. We had a meeting for about an hour and a half. We were talking about a system that we needed to revise, and we needed to, it's kind of a broken system, and we were collaborating, giving each other ideas on how we could do things better, and hold each other to a higher standard, right? Setting a standard, holding each other to it, accountability. Guys like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, they were notoriously difficult in that they really pushed their teammates to success because they understood what it took to win. And so systems working together is just, it's a beautifully phenomenal thing to witness, right? And as I look at, we have Slack, it's like an internal chat software for our team. And I see an issue comes up, and I see everybody collaborating and working together to ultimately, reach the common goal, which is getting the best result for our client and making sure that they feel taken care of. And I liken that to seeing, when you had prime Shaq and Kobe playing together, and Kobe throws up that alley-oop to Shaq and he throws it down, and you just see it's like poetry in motion. It's a beautiful thing when you're working together with a great team. Number 5 is going to be knowing another language and the beauty that comes along with that. Kobe, he spoke English, obviously he spoke Italian, and he spoke Spanish. And I just really loved how Kobe showed love to the Latin media, and the Latin media showed love to Kobe. He would field the questions in Spanish and answer them. And I just thought that was really cool. As a person who's, bilingual myself, fluent in Spanish, I've just seen how that's opened a whole nother world to me. I used to sell shoes back in the day. I sold shoes at Journeys, and it was me. Props to my man, Larry Sanchez, who hooked me up with that job. We went to high school together. But when I was working at Journeys, I eventually had a little list of clientele who would come in to work with me because I was the one on the staff that spoke Spanish. And so it's always a good thing for somebody to feel accommodated in their own language. And so I just kind of saw that parallel, and it translated to when I was doing immigration work. We represented a lot of people who only spoke Spanish. And so they would talk to me on the phone, and then they'd arrive at the office and they're like, all right, well, I want to talk to, where's the guy that I was talking to on the phone? And they'd find out it was me. And I could just see, like, not only was there a weight lifted off their shoulders because there was an attorney who's going to accommodate them in their language, but it also, it was nice because in a world where sometimes people can be unkind to other people who don't speak English, right? If you have somebody who's actually willing to take the steps to connect with you in your language, that's a nice thing. But, from a business standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, from a connection standpoint, and just from a world enjoyment standpoint, learning another language is an instrumental tool. And if you live in the United States, the Hispanic population, the Latin population is just going to continue to grow. So learning another language is definitely key. And I would say for anybody who wants to learn a new language, if you're an adult, one of the biggest things to get over is embarrassment, right? Sometimes people will feel embarrassed about learning a new language or practicing a new language because you don't want to make mistakes. Well, I would say the sooner you can get over that feeling, the better, because you need to be able to push yourself to learn. And, when you're learning a new thing, you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. Number 6 is you don't have to be in a box, right? We all have our professions, our main jobs that we do, but we can diversify. We can do different things. And, that was definitely something that Kobe did. And I thought it was brilliant. If you ever saw him on that show Detail, where he would break down plays, I just thought that was amazing, where where you got to see more of his basketball mind, and you could see just the high basketball IQ that he had. He also formed a venture capital firm, right? So he, along with his partner, I don't recall his name, they were taking funds and investing in other companies. And I was looking it up, and his venture capital firm rose to have over $2 billion in assets, right? So we think about the athletes, and you hear so many stories about athletes blowing through money, right? Making tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in their career, and then ending up bankrupt or ending up broke. And then you see the complete opposite, Kobe taking his assets and putting them into a venture capital fund and becoming an investor. That's obviously way different from his game on the court, but at the same time, you see parallels because business is competitive. And so he was able to take that drive, that knowledge, that IQ into investing in other companies. Then you have him as an author, as a poet. If you didn't have an opportunity to read Dear Basketball, read that. That was basically his letter to the game of basketball when he was retiring, and you get to see just how much the game of basketball meant to Kobe Bryant and how much he gave, how much he sacrificed and gave of himself to the game. And you just know, in looking at his whole career, playing through injuries, playing through adversity in trying times, it was definitely a beautiful thing. But again, that's just another diverse, different facet of Kobe Bryant, right? It wasn't just basketball. He was able to do other things. And one thing in his letter to my younger self, which is also another good piece of art that he put together, he was writing a letter to himself as the person who just got signed and is about to, be a world famous basketball player and, quite frankly, rich. He was writing a letter to himself as someone who had already done it all. And in passing, this wasn't really the point of the letter, but I thought it was interesting. And he says, just let this sink in a bit. The lessons that he's telling them, just let this sink in a bit when you lay down another night after a 9-hour training day. And I thought that was interesting because, again, you think it's just a game, right? But he's talking about 9-hour training days. So he's treating this like a full-time job in terms of his basketball career, putting in work, whether that's lifting weights, whether that's running, getting your cardio in, playing basketball, shooting those jump shots, putting in that work. But yeah, diversified, definitely wasn't a shut up and dribble type situation. Kobe had a lot of different facets to him, and that's what made him the brilliant person he was. Number 7 has to do with evolution. I think if you are the same person as you were when you left high school, then you essentially wasted a life, right? We're not here to just remain the same person and die. We should evolve. And, one of those things was his transition from number 24 to number 8. And he said, I'm take this quote, 24 is a growth from number 8. And he said, physical attributes aren't there, the way they used to be. He was younger when he had the number 8, but the maturity level is greater, right? Marriage, kids, start having a broader perspective, being one of the older guys on the team now, as opposed to being the youngest, things evolve. And, we could see that maturation of Kobe Bryant. And I just think, we should be evolving. We should be consuming more information to be better people, right? To contribute, to kick down knowledge, right? He was once the young guy getting information from the older guys, and then he became, the veteran on the team who was kicking down knowledge and just helping, the game evolve in that sense. But then you also had Kevin Garnett come out and say what the real reason was, right? And that was 1 over Jordan, right? Picking the number 24. Obviously, Jordan was number 23. Kobe picked number 24, and that was supposed to be 1 over Jordan. I think the truth is a mix of both, right? He definitely wanted to, evolve as a person, evolve as a player, and then that competitive nature, chasing after Jordan. So I think it's a healthy mix of both. Number 8 is about there not being any sort of plateau where you've made it and then you just cruise out the rest of your life. No, I mean, you look at a man again who was a perennial all-star, an Olympic gold medalist, a 5-time world champion, and after after retiring from the game of basketball, still continued to do other things. Again, going into his venture capital firm, going into writing and turning his poem into, the short film, and doing all these different type of things. I think, again, my personal thoughts on retirement, I don't really ever see myself retiring, right? The idea of just laying up on a beach for the rest of my days, sipping on a pina colada, does not seem attractive to me at all. Now, will I be grinding in the same way that I am today? No, but I'll be doing something else. I visualize myself being on different nonprofit boards, being able to volunteer more, make an impact on my community, and doing what I can to make the world a better place, and continuing to take advantage of my gifts and talents and all the people that I have in my life, leveraging resources to give back. That's what I personally want to do. And so when you see, sometimes when you have in your mind this, mythical plateau, when you say you made it and you're done, that's easy to think that there is, but there's not. And that's why when you see people who are successful in life, you'll see them oftentimes, they've accomplished everything that you think would check all the boxes, but yet they still want to continue forward. And for me, I just think that it's a matter of taking advantage of all the gifts that God has bestowed upon me. And I think the way to give thanks for that is to continue to use them, because on the flip side, if you don't use the talents and the gifts that you've been given, they will go away. And so, again, there's no plateau where you've made it and stop. You just keep going. You keep going. And maybe your energy shifts, maybe you slow down a bit, but you keep going. Well, that is 8 life lessons, business lessons, career lessons that I learned from the great Kobe Bryant. I'm definitely grateful for his existence. And again, I just want to say rest in peace. Thanks for all the great moments. And that's it, man. You guys be blessed, be well. If there's anything that I can do for you, you know how to reach out to me. Send me a DM, give me a call. I'll be right there. All right. Y'all be blessed, be well. Talk to you soon. Peace.